Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of your Bish Therapist podcast. And today I am so excited to have our friend, Lyndsay Lime, back from Recap Rodeo to break down Summer House, The Aftermath. Dun, dun, dun. Hello,
Dun,
Lyndsay.
dun, dun. Hello, hello. Yes, I'm back again. Look, once again, Brady, watch Summer House. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. You're really missing out, Bubba.
You know what? It is what it is. I can't make him watch it, but I'm so glad to be back to talk about it because, man, what a weird bonus episode that we got. That's like, did it really mean anything? Because West and Amanda went to Italy together and are spitting each other's mouths. So, you know what I mean? But
literally. And for those who don't know what Lindsay's talking about, West and Amanda literally went to Italy. They fled the country, which we've talked about this before. But there was a picture that came out of Amanda literally spitting food into his mouth like a mama bird feeding her baby.
yes.
And I just feel like your point is so valid in terms of all these words and all the things that are being said. When people are saying things and doing another, their actions are always going to tell the true story. And so I think her baby birding West tells us she's either unbothered or she's just going to choose to continue to have her head in the sand. Either way, I assure you nothing good will come of it for either of them. Nothing good.
Nope, I agree.
Let's get into it because it was, here's the thing. I feel like Bravo producers have been working overtime. These episodes were fantastic from the top of the reunion to the aftermath episode. I'm glad that they did record that because at the reunion, we didn't get the answers. Like at least this episode, I don't want to say we got answers, but we got explanations because to me, an explanation and an answer are different things.
Yeah. And I also, something that I've always appreciated about Summer House is I'm a timeline girly and I like to know dates and times. And they always show that like on their parties in Summer House, like this happened on this date. So I really appreciate this episode. And I think it puts a lot in perspective of, okay, Amanda and Lyndsay sat down 20 days after reunion. A week after that, West and Kyle talked. And then a week after that, Sierra and Miha talked. So I think like I appreciate that context because sometimes it's hard with these shows because a lot of it's filmed like last year, right? And so much time has passed. You're like, wait, when did this happen? But with this, I mean, these conversations were in June right now. These were filmed last month. So I think Summer House does a really good job at that.
I love that you're pointing that out because I totally agree. I am someone who I need things to be lined up for me. Otherwise,
same.
I can get very confused, but also with like the magic and the tricks of editing and things like that. And with all the lying with this whole scandal, I think it's just great to have clarity. And, I love that Bravo, like they wanted their shit to be on check. And it's like, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, same.
All right. So at the top of the episode, I also like how they laid it out. So as you mentioned, part 1 was Lyndsay and Amanda. Part 2 was West and Kyle, which to be honest, I feel like I got the least amount of information from that. So we'll talk about that. And then part 3, there were definitely some interesting Easter eggs between Sierra and Miha. So let's start with the part 1, because for me, I feel like we learned a lot about why and how this came to be with Amanda, which essentially, so I'll give my kind of clinical overview of what I heard, and then I really want to hear what you think about it, which is that we have talked about for weeks that Amanda seems to have a completely distorted self-concept. She doesn't love herself. She doesn't know herself. She does not understand who she is and what she wants. And because of that lack of self-love, that self-understanding, being able to attend to herself, I think she was like, I used an analogy, I think last time we podcasted about like trees when they have strong roots and a storm comes, right? Roots hold the tree so that when the storm comes, they're not blowing with the wind. Well, when we have a distorted sense of self or no self-concept or no self-love, we have no roots. So a storm comes and it blows us down the street, and then we're living down the street with whoever's yard we landed on. And she landed on West, and that is what she's going with. So I think for me, it's like understanding that Amanda really needs some help. I do believe that she needs some help. I do believe that she fell into this because of all of those things. However, it is her responsibility to get her head out of the sand and take charge of her own life, because while it's an explanation and we can understand it, it is not an excuse for her to just give up on her life, give up on her happiness, and to say, well, I'm a victim of this. At some point, trauma isn't our fault, but it is our responsibility to fix. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with Amanda. We have watched her relationship with Kyle. We have known pretty much from the start that there has been a lot going on with their relationship. And instead of Amanda taking the time to realize why she stayed so long with Kyle, and Kyle, why did he stay so long with Amanda, right?
Right.
Instead of her focusing on herself, and Lyndsay in this conversation talks a lot about how, you don't have self-worth, you don't have self-love, you seek validation from men. And, instead of taking any time for yourself, you instantly find that in West. And you can tell Amanda's the type where, again, we said this last time we podcast together, I can see why she seems to be against therapy, because she doesn't want to hear this. Even with Lyndsay saying stuff, she's very much just like, yeah, I know. But she does it, it's like one ear and out the other. She's not ready to really sit with that because she doesn't want to change it, right? I think with all of us, when we go through trauma or whatever, there are times where we might be aware of something or behavior, but it's very easy for you to be aware of it a little bit, but to actually want to change it, that's a whole different ballgame. So Amanda's not there yet. Amanda loves to preach, all of her feelings and why she did things, but we're not seeing any action of her wanting to change things, because in present day, she's still very much with West, which was interesting because at the end of the conversation, Lyndsay was like, you need to drop him. And Amanda was like, yeah, I know. Now, granted, with editing, could she have maybe said, I know? You know what I mean? I'm always aware of that. Could she said, I know in a different place? Possibly. But I think, again, she likes to tell people what they want to hear in the moment. And I think, again, she still really holds on to the victim card. And I'm not saying she isn't a victim in some of these aspects. I do agree with that. But that doesn't, like you said it perfectly. It doesn't excuse the behavior. You can understand the behavior. And I think sometimes people struggle with that because you can understand where behaviors come from, but that doesn't excuse it. Like you said.
Right. Because, what Lyndsay did was she did the right, good, hard thing, which is saying hard truths to Amanda. And I saw on social media that Lyndsay said there was something that was cut out, which was her saying she essentially doesn't have room in her life for people who do not act with integrity.
Yeah.
And I think that I wish that part would have stayed in, but I think that, when we have friends or people who we love that are engaging in behaviors that are very unhealthy, it is our job to say, I love you enough to call you out on this, to say, I'm concerned. This is what I'm seeing. This is not acceptable. People like Amanda and West, they want to surround themselves with an echo chamber of people who are just saying, party, let's use substances, let's do this, let's do that, let's have fun.
Yeah.
And that's all Amanda wants right now. She's not ready for a Lyndsay. So you're totally right about that. And, I didn't prepare this or anything, but what you were talking about, it makes me think about the motivational stages of change. Because the one thing, working in addiction recovery spaces, anyone can change. Anyone can change their behavior and grow. There is only one requirement. They have to want it and be ready to do it. So I guess technically that's two. Amanda doesn't want it and she's not ready to do it. But here's what I want to say to people like Lyndsay and people in Amanda's life like Kyle who are saying, we are concerned, this is a problem. She's not hearing it, but what they're doing, I call it planting seeds. And sometimes all we can do to help encourage people to save their own lives is to plant the seed that we hope will sprout later when they are ready to address it.
What do you think about Lyndsay was talking about how Amanda doesn't really have anyone in her life to give her the hard truth and tough
Yes.
love. I think that's very true because what I thought was interesting, and they brought her up at the reunion, one of Amanda's close friends, I think her name's Katie or Kate. And
yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I thought that was interesting because who did we see a lot in the group chats that West was texting? Katie. So to me, I was like, oh, wow, I do think Amanda like surrounds herself with yes people, with people who like to, I think Amanda said, she hasn't dated since her early 20s. I think she is finding herself back in an early, like, let's party 20s phase. And so, of course, Katie's not, I'm sure Katie, this is just my opinion, is like, oh, yeah, hang out with Wes, have fun, girl, because she's a part of those group chats. So I thought it was very interesting, Lyndsay pointing that out, because I don't think Amanda really has people in her life. And that's probably on purpose because, again, she doesn't want to hear it.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. It's by design.
Yeah.
If Katie were doing the same things that Lyndsay and Kyle and some of her other friends are doing, she would not be in that group chat with Katie. She would not still be friends with Katie. The only way that anyone in Amanda's circle right now is going to be an enabler by definition.
Yeah. And she hangs out. Who does she hang out with? A lot of Wes friends, right? So they're not going to tell him to not hang out with Wes. They're his friends.
Please. I mean, but the one thing, there was one word for me that permeated the whole episode, which is the word euphoric.
Yeah.
And if we notice, Amanda said the word euphoric in the beginning, and at the end, Miha and Sierra used the word euphoric as well. And to me, that was like a huge signal in my brain that it's like, okay, so I have to be mindful of how I say this, but Amanda hasn't dated since she was 24, and it shows because that's exactly how she's behaving right now. She's behaving like someone whose prefrontal cortex has not been developed. She wants to party. She wants to use substances because, and again, we don't know what substances exactly, but we know there's THC. We know there's alcohol use. There are suspicions. There are videos that there are other substances involved, but I can't exactly speak to that.
I mean, she doesn't remember the reunion at all, y'all. Which, like, granted, could you say she disassociated? Sure. But, like, her really talking when Lyndsay, like, said, like, what did you think of the reunion? I really don't think Amanda remembers anything. And I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I'll just say that.
Right. I think her explanation of dissociation was partly true. I think it was partly true.
It was also kind of bullshit because if you want to talk about someone who screamed at the whole time, look at Vanderpump Rules season 10 reunion.
Oh,
if you want to look at who really wasn't being yelled at, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just because, Sarah was saying things like talking to Amanda, she really wasn't. No one was yelling at Amanda. If anything, Amanda was the one getting snippy back. So, but again, Amanda, I think Amanda looks at anyone who's telling her about her behavior, calling her out. I think she looks at that as they're yelling at her or they're talking badly to her.
Well, right. But that's part of the victim mentality. Because when we are surrounding ourselves with an echo chamber and we are victims of our own life, someone serving us truth is going to appear to be yelling or drama or a problem.
But that's
it's so indicative of where Amanda's mental health and her headspace is.
Yeah.
Any truth to her is going to be seen as an attack, period.
Oh, yeah, preach.
Because she ain't ready to hear it.
No.
But so one of the things Amanda said, she said it was a euphoric feeling. It was hard to think rationally or logically through any of it, which to me, the first thing that I thought about with that is addiction. I'm going to be honest. Seeking something that gives us dopamine hits, that makes us feel euphoric without using our wise mind or thinking rationally. I mean, that has addiction written all over it. And here's the thing. I'm not saying she's an addict. I'm not saying West is an addict. I'm saying this whole relationship and everything around it, I would be remiss if I didn't outline the flavors of addiction that kind of are outlining this whole situation. And then when Miha and Sierra talked about the euphoria of the dirty little secret part, and we'll talk about that in a bit, it just reiterated that, West is really an operator here. And so there's two parts to me. It's like Amanda, I believe, was vulnerable to his manipulation, and she's also a huge part of the problem
Yeah.
and needs to, take accountability for that.
Yeah, I think we have seen a pattern with West. Even like we'll get into it, like when West and Miha was talking, I was like, okay, he really is good at picking out women who really struggle with, their own self-worth, which like I
Yep.
get it. Like I also struggle with that. And he really like preys upon that, but then he loves to give a little and then take a little and then make it seem like well, okay, I'll wait for that to the Weston when we get to the
No,
Weston
we
Kyle
can
part.
talk about it.
Okay,
Let's bop around.
I really, really hated how West makes it. He loves to make it seem like these women are the ones who are obsessed with him and that they're the crazy ones. I really hated when he was like, "Yeah, I mean, me and Sierra, we like did kiss twice after the summer, but there are times where we hung out." And she asked for my address, but I didn't give it to her. Well, that doesn't make sense because she knew Amanda was at your place. And also she knew you had a basketball hoop in your apartment. Also at the reunion, she said she slept over twice. So that's just a lie. But he wants to
Correct.
plant this narrative of, oh my God, Sierra's obsessed with me. I
Mhm.
tried to set boundaries, but
Mhm.
I think that's why, people like Sierra and even Amanda and Miha, like they get so confused because like what he says and what he does is very different. And then same thing with this conversation with Amanda and Lyndsay. Lyndsay said, well, he told Sierra March 6th that you're the one who's obsessed with him and you're the one who has a crush. And I'm like, again, like it's always like the other person. It's never him. And so, and to that, you would think that would be a wake up call to Amanda. I don't think it is because I guarantee, this is my opinion, what I think what happened is Amanda brought that up to West and West probably was like either two things. One, he denied it and said, I didn't say that. Sierra's making that up. Or two, I mean, yeah, I did say that, but I just said that to appease Sierra. And I bet Amanda, that's all she needed because I think that West and Amanda have a shared hate for Sierra in a really like gross way. I think they bond over that now. And that makes me really sad because when I kept watching this Lyndsay and Amanda conversation, I kept thinking of like, okay, I just have to sit with the fact that Amanda doesn't give a shit about Sierra. Does not give a
Right.
shit. I just like, okay, that is what it is. But it just like, I just think they have a shared hatred over her. I think Amanda has had a crush on West for quite some time. I think it really bothered her that Sierra and West had something going on because Amanda couldn't have anything going on with them because she was married.
Right.
So,
Right.
sorry, that was like long winded, but I just think like and even with Miha, it was very much, well, she thought we were in an exclusive relationship. I guess I kind of led her on. I wasn't living in that way. It's always these women are just so obsessed with West. It's never like what he's giving or what he's saying to them. It's just like, West, you ain't shit. Okay. You're not shit, but you must have a charm to you that I think I think he can be charming. And I think he can tell women what they want to hear. But then when the going gets tough, he's able to turn it around and be like, no, that's on you.
And I'm going to tell you exactly how he does that. So thank you for that transition. Totally unplanned, but I love it. So the one thing that became really apparent to me in all of this is that while Amanda and Kyle, they're responsible for their roles in figuring out why the hell did they stay in a loveless, sexless, romanticless marriage, that's not a word, for so long. But West he is an operator. He is extremely good at what he does. I have worked with men my entire career who have these problematic traits and tendencies, and I'm telling you, West is good at what he does. He is so skilled at finessing his words. And even the way that he speaks is meant to obfuscate, which is just basically a way to say that he does these little things, these nonverbal things, or with the tone or the way he sucks in air as he's talking. I've never heard anybody speak like that. Like, who speaks like he's like inhaling as he's talking? It's just like so bizarre.
I'm like, boy, you got some asthma going on? Like, what's going on?
You know what he's got going on? Narcissism, honey bunny.
Right.
That's what he's got going on.
That's the new thing. Is it asthma or is it narcissism?
Yeah, we should have a wheel. Asthma or narcissism? And it's landed on narcissism. But like West, so what I fully believe he's been doing, his modus operandi, his MO is love bombing, like 1,000%. And so I just wanted to describe that a little bit because as I was like reacquainting myself with what love bombing is, I was like, oh, this is what's going on to a T.
Yeah.
So love bombing is an emotional manipulation tactic where someone will shower like a target with excessive affection, flattery, physical touch early in a relationship. And so love bombing is definitely rooted in narcissism and insecurity. And the goal is to accelerate intimacy to establish control before the person reveals toxic behaviors. So there are 3 phases of love bombing. So, and this is where, Lyndsay, I can't wait to hear your thoughts because this lines up exactly with something that Wes did. So the first phase is the idealization phase, which is where the target is placed on a pedestal. And that floods the brain with dopamine and oxytocin, which makes you highly bonded and dependent. That's step 1. It's like get people highly bonded, dependent, get all those good feelings flowing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second phase is the devaluation phase, where the dynamic will flip immediately after commitment is made. The love bomber desperately tries to return to the euphoric honeymoon stage.
Oh my gosh, can we just go back to 6 weeks ago, where we were young and we were just full, no one knew. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that explains him to a T.
It explains it to a T. And especially how he said that. I was like, oh my God, this is red flags all day.
Yeah.
And then the third phase is the discard or control phase. So the love bomber either withdraws or tightens control by isolation, leaving victims confused and doubting their own reality. And what is Wes doing to each and every single one of these women? He's trying to leave them confused, doubting their own reality, so that he is the person who can somehow West is so delusional, I'm going to use that word, because he thinks that he is going to talk his way out of this, which tells me he's talked his way out of things like this a million times before. That's what it tells me.
Well, and like he thinks that because he does get away with it for a little bit. He got away with it with Sierra, with Miha, and with Amanda right now, right? He's able to talk his way out of things until something big enough happens where, and I don't know what it will be because it's actually really, I'll use Mia's words. It's embarrassing, Amanda, because why would you want to be with someone? There's so many rumors going around, right? And even if they're not all true, why would you want to be with someone who is always going to have, like, same with Kyle. Kyle had all these rumors. Like, that's the thing, is the way that she is not taking any self-reflection and thinking like, oh, wow, there's actually a lot of similarities between the beginning of her and Kyle's relationship versus her and West, right? There's almost like, even with Kyle and Amanda, right, there was a secrecy element. She was kind of like, for lack of better words, like his, like, fuck buddy. You know what I mean? Like friends with benefits kind of deal. Same. And then like with West, right? It was like kind of a secret. It was kind of like, just like this element of like, what are they and things, you know what I mean? So
no, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So there's actually a lot of like similarities with that. And I think like with Kyle when they were first together, it's that honeymoon phase of like, oh my gosh, we both really like each other and there's love there. Or you're falling in love. And that's what Amanda is like wanting. But it's crazy that she only thinks she can have that with West. That's why Lyndsay's like, why? Like, go out and date. Go out and date.
Right. But I think Lyndsay pointed out, like, she really did act as a therapist, pointing out, like, you hung your self-worth on Kyle and that ruined you. And now you're doing it with, Lyndsay didn't say this, but essentially what Lyndsay's saying and what you're saying is that Amanda is literally doing this with the same archetype of a man. Yeah. Which is what, like, West and Kyle are really the same archetype, meaning that they both are unfaithful, dishonest, inappropriate with women. And this is a moment where I'm going to be honest, I didn't write this in my interpretations on Instagram, but I feel like Kyle and Wes talking, it's like the blind leading the blind, because it's like, Kyle, you also broke Amanda's heart, right? Like, you also did all of these things you're lecturing West about up until, I don't know, 4 weeks ago. So, like, let's cool it with, like, being, Mr. High and Mighty, and, like, I'm worried you're going to hurt Amanda. Like, bitch, you've hurt her too,
That actually is so funny when you think about it. Like, Kyle is so worried about Amanda getting her heart broken by Wes when it's like, bitch, you broke her heart first.
Literally. This is why we're all in this position, because of the three of you making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Which I think is just like so wild. But what the point that Lyndsay was making, and it does need to be stated, is that we will all repeat unhealthy relational patterns that we are not willing to examine, look at, or understand. Yeah. Now, that people say, well, you can't love somebody till you love yourself. That's false, because it's a journey to love ourselves, a journey that you and I are still on. Yeah. And you can love people while you're learning to love you. That's a fallacy. But you can't choose or make healthy decisions for yourself when you're coming from a place of trauma, when you're coming from a place of unhealed wounds. That is just facts. And that is what's showing in Amanda's behavior. But to finish out the love bombing thing, is I just wanted to end with saying that people who engage in that definitely tend to have high narcissistic traits and tendencies, and they lack boundaries, which is another like red flag for West, because I feel like his whole thing is mudding the waters in terms of boundaries to use that to make other people feel crazy. And that is just like really indicative of this. And so the reason why this happens is that people like West fuel their ego by securing validation and attention, and they view partners as objects to be managed rather than equals. So, Amanda, you in danger, girl. And
she's in danger. And also, I think it's still frustrating because we're never going to get the full truth from Amanda and Wes. And even Amanda is still lying or not being fully honest about, because she talks a lot about how he pursued her and how like he was texting the group chat to hang out, which we do see. But she tries to make it seem like she would say no every time, and that they really didn't start hanging out until after her and Kyle's announcement. When we know that's bullshit. We know they were hanging out New Year's Eve. I'm pretty sure they were hanging out a lot after the Summer House season 10 wrapped. Yeah. So it's just like, but again, that makes her feel better because she can't admit, because again, it doesn't help her victimhood that she has been having feelings for West for quite some time, right? Because there's no way she can admit to an emotional affair, which, I mean, I think that's very concrete that was happening. I know there's
no question. Yeah. You do not go from being married to being in a committed relationship where she told West that she wants children soon, which that's a whole other thing.
Oh my God.
I was like, for the sake of those unborn children, please, don't, no. Like, children and youth, can they get involved before people decide to have children? Like, can we do a report right now? Because that is horrifying.
You know how Lindsay's daughter Gemma serves face in the city? I need a Gemma in that room right now to side eye. Yeah, to be like, excuse, don't, like, what do you mean? Like, the way that Amanda was like, she's so focused on. That's the thing is, Lyndsay really was trying to talk about, I get it. Like, there's a physical connection. You haven't been touched that way in a long time. And Amanda's like, no, it's really about conversations. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I just highly doubt that West, the man who it takes about, 3 hours to get 2 words out, you guys are having all these conversations. He's not going to be having these conversations like that. He simply can't. Like, there has to be a physical element. But she's so focused on telling us, no, really, it's about these conversations. And I've told him, like, this can't be casual, which is funny because what did Sierra tell West? I'm not into, you know what I mean? I'm not into it being casual. But of course, But it has, it's different with Amanda. Amanda's the cool girl. Amanda's in that mode of it's not going to happen to me. You have to see a future with me. I want to have kids soon. But then she says, but we haven't talked about having kids, but I'm just letting him know, like, be aware of what I want. I'm like, okay, you want kids soon, but you aren't talking about having kids. Girl, that is what the actual fuck?
It just goes to show that Amanda has no idea what she wants, and she is just making statements based on what she thinks is socially acceptable, which is why her and West are really perfect for each other in a lot of ways. They are only concerned with what is socially acceptable, because here's the thing. The fact that they are still clinging to this pitiful loopholes in timeline show that they don't get it. They don't care to get it. They're never going to get it. They just want to argue to prove themselves right in the eyes of viewers. And to me, that is maybe the greatest red flag of all of these red flags. And they're both carrying it together. Because the other thing is that Amanda, for her to say, I want to have children soon, and then look at the partners that she's picking, and look at what she's doing. So you want to have children soon, but you're picking a comitophobe who is incapable of being monogamous, and all you two do is go out and party. So that is incongruent with your statement of what you want. So what that tells me is that either she wants something different privately that she is unaware of, or she wants something different privately and she's afraid to say it. But either way, that is not really what she wants.
I was just thinking of too, Melissa, all of it is such bullshit, because you're telling me that feelings have only been happening since March, okay, or into February. So we're a couple months in, right? You've only had feelings for that long, but you are telling this man you want to have children soon. That's fucking crazy. Or have you been harboring feelings for a very long time? And, West in his conversation with Kyle said, they've been friends for 3 years. He's cared about Amanda. Like, has this been a long time coming? So it's easier for you to say those things because you have liked him that long. You know what I mean? Either way, it's bad. But she can't admit to that, though, because again, that would,
it doesn't fit the narrative that they are trying to perpetuate.
Yeah, but then that's freaking crazy.
Well, of course,
if you're just 6 weeks in and you're like, hey, I want to have children soon.
With you. A man who has never committed to, been monogamous with, or treated women well. Like, here's the thing about Wes that I wrote this down because I don't know why this stood out to me so much, because it's so hard to nail down the things that he's actually saying. Like, I have to put on the closed captions, and then I have to rewind it because he doesn't speak in sentences. He speaks in he mutters.
Yeah. And how can someone say so many words, but nothing at all? Nothing at all.
Which is a surefire sign that it's manipulation. Surefire sign. So Wes said regarding Sierra, this shows truly how delulu this man is. He said, I have not done a perfect job.
You think?
I've not done a perfect job. I'm like, sir, that is the understatement of the century.
Right.
And then he said, I hope she, meaning Sierra, sees I was trying to do the right thing a handful of times. Lyndsay.
Yeah, clearly Sierra's like, oh yes, he really tried, and bitch, I can't.
I wrote trying, question mark exclamation. So trying and a handful of times. I was like, West is so good at massaging his words that he literally rebranded failure. Yeah. That is him rebranding failure. In the most insane, I cannot emphasize this enough. I have heard a lot of manipulative people lie and say things because for a minute you really had to think about it.
Yeah.
West makes himself sound so reasonable. And the other thing I clocked? Everything that someone says, he says, that's fair. That's fair.
He does.
That's fair.
Does. Well,
Okay.
and Lyndsay even called out the reunion. I'm listening to you and I'm almost falling for it. But then when you actually like take a second, my favorite part of I died at this part too, when he looked at Kyle and he said, "Do you want me to be fully honest with you, even though it could hurt today?" No, Wes, please lie. Please just say bullshit. Like, why did you ask that? That is so, but he says that to make it look like, okay, I'm sitting down. I'm going to be real honest. Like, I'm going to lay it all out there. Like, he thinks it makes him look good being like, do you really want the full truth? Because I don't want to hurt you, bro. But like, that is such a, like, I can't imagine having a conversation with someone and being like, hey, do you want me to be honest or do you want me to lie?
Like
What
I
do you think the
have
answer?
been for, our
Right.
whole, like that is so, but it's like, it's when you listen closely enough, people like this will always give themselves away. And
Yeah,
in
they
that
do.
moment, he gave himself away. He was like, oh, so we just filmed the reunion and now we're here filming this. And now do you want candid honesty? And it's like, Wes, what do you think we're doing here, you dipshit? What do you think we're
Actually,
doing?
no. Please keep lying. Let's tell stories.
I mean, it is. It's just like so insanely ridiculous. But what is so crazy to me, because you and I had talked about this last episode when we talked about the part 3 of the reunion, we brought up ethical non-monogamy.
Yeah.
And I said that I think the ethical part doesn't make his dick hard. And tonight, that's exactly what we found out. He literally admitted he led Miha to believe they were in an exclusive relationship while he had no intention on being monogamous. So for me, it confirms the lies and secrecy appear to be like a real kink because that is what gets West going. And for me, that is a huge red flag.
Well, you know what? He makes no damn sense because, okay, you said that Miha was operating in like 100% we are in an exclusive relationship, but you weren't. But you, once again, he tried his best, y'all, because when she wanted him to meet her parents, he said, no, that's not where we're at. Okay, so you're acknowledging then that you think meeting the parents is a big deal. That's interesting because with Sierra, and when she met your parents, you try to act like that's not a big deal. That was just like, that's something you do. So what, you know what I mean? So again, that makes, what is it, West? He can't even keep anything straight as far as like what he thinks like being exclusive mean, what's serious, what's not. And I guarantee it's not that it's not about him thinking it's like serious or what. It's about he doesn't want you to meet his parents because he's keeping you a secret from like everyone and everything.
But then he does want you to meet his parents to increase that sense of deepened intimacy.
Yes, like with Sierra. Yeah.
Right. But I think what you're saying is that when people, well, this is what I'll say, is when people are pathological liars and they are moving from a place of ick, they're not going to be able to keep things straight. They're always going to tell on themselves. They're going to say and do contradictory things. And West is telling us, I mean, in this way, he and Amanda are perfect for each other because West, I don't think he doesn't care about other people. Just like Amanda said, just straight face. She's like, I was selfish. I cared more about me than I cared about Sierra. And I think that what West and Amanda have in common is that they care more about themselves than they do anybody else, that they are more interested in fun and euphoria and sex and lies and secrecy. And they have made it clear that that is their priority for now. And so I think everybody has to understand that that's what's going on. And it's going to be a train wreck, but it's of their own making.
I think there's also something euphoric for them thinking that it's them against the world, right? Mm-hmm. So like they only have each other.
It's very Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, it's like, exactly. It's very like, oh my gosh, like everyone is so against us. Like we just have each other. Like I think Amanda really thrives with that because she wants to be wanted by a man. It doesn't matter that she has like friends like Lyndsay or like Sierra or anyone else that like cared for her. She wants that from a man. And it's just like, girl, the way that, again, like it goes back to what we said at the beginning, she's not ready to actually sit with that and change anything because right now it's just her and West against the world. Woe is me. Everyone's against us. We're just two people in love. That's it. Well, are in love. That's a whole, I can't wait to, like, that was wild. Kyle
Oh, yeah,
asking,
let's talk about that. Okay,
okay.
because that was another part that I could not understand what he was saying and wrap my head
Yes.
around it as many times as I tried to watch it.
No,
So-
it made no sense.
No. Okay, so I want you to tell me what
Mhm.
you heard, because on Watch What Happens Live, Bowen Yang said that West, in response to, like, when Kyle was like, do you love her? He said something like, I care about her a fuck ton. Is that,
I
did
don't
he say
remember.
that?
I don't remember him saying that. I remember Kyle asked, and Wes said, I mean, yeah, you saw me say I love you on the show. And it cuts to him saying that on the show. And then you see Kyle like, well, hang on a minute. That doesn't make any sense with this timeline.
Right.
So you're saying, is it love? Are you in love? And then Wes is like, no, I mean, I've just had feelings since February. But like, you know, again, Kyle is trying to explain, like, I have love for Amanda, but it's been a long time since I've been in love with her. And you
But
can tell,
he's
like, both
explaining
are
the difference
right.
between, like, a friend love and being in love. And I was like, Kyle is literally acting as West Papa, being like,
Right.
son, there's
Right.
a difference between saying I love you to a friend and being in love. So which is it, son? Like, literally, it
That's
was
where
like
I'm
so
still-
bizarre.
That's why I'm so confused, because then he's like, well, I haven't said I'm in love, like, to her, but I love her, and I have, and I've cared about her for a long time. So I'm
Very,
like,
very long time, he said. And this is what we mean with his words are so careless. They mean
Yes.
literally nothing, because West knew exactly what Kyle was trying to get at. And for West to, by his own admission, move the timeline up to that night that he was defending Amanda against Kyle and saying he loved her, it's like, so was that on purpose that you're trying to confuse people? Because I kind of think it was on purpose. I really do. At this
I know,
point.
because also it's like, you know, what Kyle's asking is like, do you love her? Like, you could
Right.
just point blank say, like, I care about her, like, you know what I mean, as a friend. And obviously we're in a relationship right now, and that I'm seeing where that goes. But you using, like, being like, well, yeah, I said I love you last summer. But then it's like, well, I didn't mean like in love. It's like, you know what Kyle was asking. You're all over the place. And now I'm confused. I'm curious, do you think that anything's going to change? Like, Amanda and Wes probably won't watch this episode. I'm trying to think if they will watch this episode and
Nope.
anything will change, but I don't think they'll
Nope.
watch it.
No. Okay, here's my honest take. They are not going to watch the season, and there's a reason they didn't watch it, because their reality needs to be their reality, and their reality
nothing
does not
happened.
match. Correct.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so what's happening is they are allowing themselves to have a cognitive dissonance where, because they didn't watch the season, they can still lie to themselves and rationalize and say, no, because they didn't see it. And so that's what they're doing. And then the second part of this is that this relationship will crash and burn. There is no chance of this ending in a healthy, positive manner unless both of them make the decision to change individually and as a couple. And I can tell you the chances of that are probably 0.0000001%. I always like to add the 1% because I like to have faith that anybody can grow and change. I really hold it in my sweet little heart that because, listen, Amanda is deserving of love. She is deserving of good mental health and love and support. She's just got to give it to herself. West, on the other hand, I would like West to go away. I would like to never see him again. I don't have faith or hope for him in any way, shape, or form. And I actually kind of think there's some danger around his behavior. But the last thing I'll say is that I don't think they will watch this episode. I don't think they will look back on anything, and they're just going to continue to live in their own little reality.
Well, and then it goes back to the it's us against the world, because Amanda's excuse of, I don't want to watch it because I know the audience is picking little moments and running with a narrative, and I don't want to see that. And it's like, I'm sorry. Don't blame me for having eyes and ears. Don't blame me for watching a scene where you tell West to look at your ass. Don't blame me for West like whispering in your ears and hugging each other in a very like romantic way. That is not on me. That is literally on you. So her whole excuse of like not watching it is bullshit. you don't want to take accountability for your actions. That's why I don't think really, unless they were asked and we didn't see it, but if you think about it, we got a few moments of the reunion where they kind of asked about like certain moments, but there are so many moments this season that were not asked about, like the ass scene.
Right.
And I think a part of it is because they knew Amanda didn't watch it. And I don't think she wants to deal with that. I don't think she wants to really sit with the fact that Sierra was such a good friend, has been a good friend, was really championing you this whole season, even though she said that she knows that, to watch it back. I don't think she wants to sit with that because, again, she's on this high horse with Wes right now of like, we hate Sierra.
Which is like, I'm glad that you brought that back because I think that's such a good point that I didn't comment on enough before is that West and Sierra, like whatever they had, I just feel like now it's so clear that it was just all manipulation and totally fake. And I think that Amanda and West, that's what is so hurtful to Sierra, that someone who she gave a second chance in her life and her best friend both actively worked against her, lied, was deceitful, and don't care. Like they've proven that they do not care at all about how she feels.
Nope.
And that part, I cannot imagine from Sierra how that will negatively impact her in her relationships going forward. I'm very serious. Because the level of betrayal for you to let an ex back in, to rekindle something, and then to have this friend that you championed all season, and now it's clear that neither one of them ever really cared about you. That's got to feel to me like the hugest betrayal, even above Kyle. Because to me, Kyle didn't deserve a lot of what he thinks he deserved. And like, I get it. And they were wrong for what they did. But like, Kyle was doing his own thing up until, a couple weeks ago or whatever. So put that to the side. But does that make sense what I'm saying about Sierra? It's like so cold.
Well, and imagine like Sierra watching this episode and Amanda seems to really care about like her and Lyndsay's friendship, right? Now, granted, could that be because of the in the city and like filming?
It's in the city.
And that very well could be it. But maybe Amanda tried to meet with Sierra and like Sierra doesn't want. To be fair, Sierra does not owe Amanda any conversation whatsoever.
Nope.
She has more than right. Like I've had like friends where I am done, case closed. Like I don't need to have a conversation. I totally get that. But there's still just a weird element of like Amanda and Wes seem to care about everyone else but Sierra. And that to me is like the most like icky feeling of it all. And Lyndsay even said on Threads that like, hey, just let you know, like there were multiple times where like I talked about Sierra. I can't help that they didn't put in the edit. I also couldn't help that like Amanda pretty much had like no response to that, which again is just so gross to me because Sierra, like there was a friendship. Well, Sierra thought there was a friendship there. I don't think Amanda ever saw it that way.
But that's the point that I'm making is that Amanda, what's being missed here is that she did to Sierra what West did to women.
Yeah.
She lied. She manipulated. She used love bombing and friendship bombing to make Sierra feel loved and supported and heard. She said to Sierra, I see you. I hear you. And that was all a lie. And to me, that was where I come back to Amanda and West are perfect together because they complement each other in those ways. And that is where I think Amanda's victimhood ends and some of her own problematic traits come into play.
Yes, clock it. Beautifully said.
Thank you. Okay, so let's get to the end where Sierra and Mija film. And I thought it was interesting that Sierra kind of apologized to Mija for her having to watch West kiss her because it was like, which is, one of the things Amanda said in the beginning is like, this wasn't rational. We didn't think it through. And it's like, well, that shows here because what I always wondered was like, West, you're on national television with a girlfriend putting furniture together at your home. How did you think this was going to work out? He didn't care. He didn't care. He didn't think that far ahead. He thought he could, lie his way out of, like, he's so good at these tactics that he literally thought he could be seen cheating on live TV and talk his way out of it.
Yeah, he can just say it's for the show. I mean, also don't forget, he made out with a random woman this season too, not just Sierra when he was making, you know what I mean? But he just thought he could just say, well, it's for the show. I have to keep you a secret for the show.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of talk that there's been rumors that West is not coming back. And it's kind of confusing because it's like sources say he's not coming back. One source says he might make a cameo. I don't think he's going to come back. And I do think the real reason is that Bravo is pissed because he is being very secretive about his life.
Which we find out that he's literally living secret lives on and off camera, telling Miha, lying that, well, it's because of Bravo. Like, if you're not dating a Bravo lab. And like the one thing that the network is not going to like, it's like, do not throw us under the bus, buddy.
Oh,
No.
Yeah. Or Bravo, we have to date a Bravo lab. Or if not, then I need to be single in the summer, right? Like he has to present like both options. So I really think like he just thought the season would end and he could just tell Miha like, hey, this is for the show. And honestly, I think West, again, can be charming. I'm sure Miha would be like, probably feel weird about it. Be like, oh, okay, like, you're right. Like, it probably is just for the show. And so, like, again, like, he has that narrative that he really, you know what I mean, like, sticks with of, it's always other things, other people's faults. It's never his fault.
Right. The fact that Amanda and West are even like gaslighting the audience for having observational skills it shows their dedication of like, lying and manipulation. It's like, that's how bold they are, that they think that they are going to get the cast and millions of people to be like, no, you all have this all wrong. That just shows their boldness, but also like the sickness underlying some of the thinking. But one of the things that was like shocking, so he texted Miha, you win, which we talked about that last episode. But I just have to reiterate that this is an insane response. An insane response after all you've done to this woman. Like Miha, literally, I felt sad for her because she was like, I literally thought we were like together. We had this thing. I was like in his apartment. And, but the one thing that did stick out in my mind was it felt like Sierra and Miha both started to bond about how it felt fun to be West's dirty little secret. That part really shocked me and made me very sad. I was like, no.
I know. And I know I've seen some discourse online, people being confused by that because they're like, well, wait, did Miha know about like not being his girlfriend or what? And I think what she means is like, she thought they were exclusive, but she knew they couldn't be exclusive to like the world because of the show. I think that's what she means by being a secret. But again, it points to like Wes really latches onto these type of women who struggle with, girl, Sierra, Miha, like, and even Amanda, like, you guys, like, you should be showered with love in public. Like, you shouldn't, like, no one deserves to be a secret. Like, I get, like, a lot of times when you hear about people with affairs and cheating, it's the secret part. It's exciting. But that's not, like, that's not going to go anywhere in your life because, like, you deserve someone to want to show you off and to praise you and to talk about you. And so to me, when they were talking about that, I was like, oh, okay, Sierra and Miha, like there's definitely still some like self-reflection and some work there to be done on their end too, because that shouldn't be this thing that, you kind of like you love, the secrecy you love.
It shouldn't make you feel good to be someone's secret. And in the addiction space, the saying is secrets keep us sick. And they do. Secrets in mental health, addiction, secrets keep us sick. And it's the one thing, to be honest, my nieces and nephew, I always tell them secrets are no fun. They're no good for anyone. And we don't keep secrets because that is how a lot of problematic things start. But I think you're right, is that Sierra and Miha, everyone in the situation needs to understand what led them to make the decisions that they made. Because just like Amanda needs to figure it out, so does Sierra and so does Miha to understand how did this come to be that you felt special being a secret, that it felt exciting to you. But that is where I think West's manipulative charm comes in. I think he sold it to them as this is special. You're special. You're different. And that's the part that I'm not taking away from Sierra and Miha what work they need to do. Right. But it really does show me that West is a very skilled, dangerous person.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought it was really I I think Miha, like, again, if you think about, I mean, they were showing pictures from 2024. Like, we're talking about this has been a pretty long, you know what I mean, like, relationship
14 months.
between
Yeah,
them.
over a
They
year.
they showed
Yeah.
unseen footage of Jesse asking about her.
That's right.
So I was
That's
like,
right.
oh my gosh. And so when I heard her say, like, so Wes sent that text of you win. And then a week later, he called her and they talked for 6 hours.
6 hours, y'all. 6. Lyndsay, you heard that right. 6 hours.
And I was
Which
like,
I
this
was
man,
like, whoa.
I know. I'm like, this man can't talk. I know it was just her talking. Cause again, this man can't, it would take him, like, he probably said 2 words that whole time.
I mean, yes.
And so, but she said on Threads, like, you know, cause someone was like, y'all talked for 6 hours post reunion. And she said, if I want to yell at my ex for 6 hours straight, that's my God given right. And I, here's my thing is I like to believe that, but I think Miha, like she said at the end, like she's going to really have to like sever that cord. And I think it felt good to her that West called her after the reunion.
Yep.
I think she was still holding on that West was going to pick her.
Yep.
I think that even in that 6-hour conversation, apparently he told her, I'm actually going to go to Italy alone. And she was like, you should, you know, just be with your family. Again, it was for a wedding. Then she sees that he didn't go alone. He went with Amanda. But again, Amanda, that's a huge red flag. If West is still texting her, still having conversations with her. And again, but I think West goes back to her and is like, oh, she's obsessed with me. She's calling me. She's texting me. Then block her.
Yep.
And I thought, like, Sierra, I love you, girl, but I thought it was interesting when she said, I applaud you for not blocking him. Because I wanted to be like, no, block him.
You should. Yeah.
I wonder what she meant by that.
Well, I think what she meant, my interpretation was that I applaud you for having the courage to tell him the things you needed to tell him. But I don't think that's what happened.
I don't think so
that
either.
Again, the reason West chose Miha because he manipulated her into attending to him again after fierce betrayal for 6 straight hours. That's manipulation. That's extremely concerning. That's a parasite. I literally wrote this on Instagram is that I think that West is a parasite who latches onto healthy hosts until he's fed and then he pops off and he goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that type of person, you do need to block. That type of person, you need to get out of your life. Like, I think sometimes people have a hard time with like, where do I stand up for myself and where do I just let it go? And I think everyone needs to let this man go. But I do think it was super interesting is that Miha said that now she has to talk to West on the phone because of Amanda.
I know, which that made me feel so icky in so many ways because it's once again, Amanda, he's having conversations on in text because he doesn't want receipts. But also Miha, now like you don't want to be the other woman in this either, right? Like you thought you were exclusive, but there were multiple other women. And now he's saying with an Amanda, but he's calling you and who knows what all he's saying. And so to me, like, he doesn't want text receipts. So like, y'all are so better than this man in this situation. So like, again, like we need to be blocking him. And I hope like in present day, some blocking has happened, but I gotta be honest, I don't know. Cause I could see them maybe still talking. I don't know. I like that Sierra at the end of the conversation said, you know, cheers to gossip and like moving on. I really think Sierra, who's thriving right now, she's, you know, on Love Island After Sun, even before this like scandal happened, Sierra was already making waves of like being on red carpets and, you know, really making a name of herself outside of Bravo. And so like, I think career-wise, like, she's thriving. That doesn't mean like emotionally, I think she's still like sitting with stuff and going through stuff. But I do think she's very much into like moving on from West and Amanda. I don't think Miha is ready to quite move on from West. I think she's holding on to being the chosen one.
Right. And again, that's why she was chosen. Because men like West know how to choose victims. They just do. It's a sixth sense that it's wild to watch. And he knows this woman and he knows that it's just so messy.
But then Miha, if you come back, you know what I mean? You can't also play in this like, you know what I mean? Like Amanda, like I need everyone to go to psychologytoday.com, put in your insurance, and find a therapist near you for the love of God. I know it's not immediately. Like, I know it's not fun. Trust me, I get it. But like, damn, we cannot have men like Wes Wilson running rampant like this. Like,
no. We all have to protect ourselves against these people. And the way to do that is by making sure our roots are strong. Okay.
Yes,
psychologytoday.com.
Please.
Let's strengthen our roots, everybody. Okay. Okay.
Please.
And listen, we say this as people who go to therapy.
Yeah.
I have been working blood, sweat, and tears dealing with this grief, mishigas. And it's not fun. It's really hard. It's hard to hold myself accountable and say the hard parts out loud. But if we don't do that, it will just hurt ourselves at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So before we end, there's one thing that we wanted to address. You brought up this very good point.
Oh, yes.
And I wanted to explain it. So Sierra and Mija said that they joked that their trauma bond will outlast Amanda and Wes, which I thought was funny. But it's also an inappropriate use of the term trauma bond. And so because I just like to educate, I wanted to be really clear. So colloquially, people use the term trauma bond to refer to like a concept of like revealing a personal trauma or having like a personal trauma in common. Right?
Yeah.
Relating to that in that way. But what a trauma response actually is, it's an emotional attachment formed through repeated cycles of abuse. And what is so bonding about it, it's a pattern of intermittent reinforcement, which is kind of like the intermittent reinforcement is how people get addicted to gambling because it's a very unmitigated pattern and you never know when you're going to get the reinforcement. And so it's a pattern that creates like a level of addiction or dependency because of that pattern.
Okay.
And psychologist Dr. Patrick Carnes coined the term, and it's a physiological dependency on an abuser, making the victim feel dependent on them for validation and survival. It really is more deeply intertwined with, have you heard the term Stockholm Syndrome?
Okay, I was going to ask you, is it basically like related to that?
It's an offshoot of it where, so Stockholm Syndrome is like a high profile manifestation of the psychology of this where like a captive and a captor, they bond. And this happens so that the captive feels safe and cared for.
Yes.
So it is kind of an offshoot of that. But in all sincerity, a trauma bond is really, really serious. And it's based on like it being in an abusive relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's like we've heard cases of people who are kidnapped and held hostage. And then it's like there's some kind of, they feel almost like a connection or feel bad for their capture.
Correct.
For that.
So good examples of this are the Patty Hearst kidnapping. This was old in 1974. She was kidnapped by the Symbionese Liberation Army, and she was subjected to a lot of abuse and things like that. And then after she like left captivity, she like argued that her actions were a survival response, but she was, like it was like it took her aback how integrated she became with these people. And also Elizabeth Smart is another good example. So in 2002, she was kidnapped at knife point, held captive for 9 months, subjected to abuse, threats, psychological manipulation. During her captivity, she wore disguises and traveled with her captors in public, but didn't attempt to escape because of the intense trauma and fear that it ingrained, the survival-based psychological obedience, essentially. And so it happens due to a mix of brain chemistry and power asymmetry. And again, using this intermittent reinforcement and a survival instinct that tells us, if I want to keep myself safe, I have to align with these people to keep myself alive. So I know that was a very long explanation and some of it was a little confusing, but it's just, again, I don't want people, the TikTokification of mental health terms. I get it, but also I think we can't be careless in our words in the way that we explain things.
Yeah. No, I think that's valid because I think people, when they, like you said, when they hear trauma bonded, they think like if I said like me and my friend were trauma bonded because we both had a parent who was a shithead, right? We're like, oh, we're trauma
Right.
bonded. We had bad parents when it's, you know what I mean? Like, no, that's more so of like a shared, like similar experience.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but not actual like a trauma bond.
Exactly. That's exactly right. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, listen, people bond over that all the time. You sharing shitty parents or having certain traumas. Like, I want to be clear that those things are very valid and strong connections, right? Because when we
Yes.
understand that other people understand what we've been through, there is a bond that can form there. It's
Yes.
just not
And that's what we're
technically
seeing with
Yeah.
Sierra and Miha. They very much have this guy and have similar experiences with.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, Lyndsay, we got through it all, honey.
We did. We did.
Was there anything else that we didn't get to talk about or mention that you wanted to bring up? I feel like we did such a good job of breaking this down, girl.
I know. I think we did too. I mean, I'm very curious, where there's no more episodes. I'm very curious what they're going to do with season 11. I know, as I mentioned earlier, there's been talk of West not being back. Here's my thing, though. If Amanda and West are still together when they start filming in the city, are we going to see him in that? I
Right.
don't know. I don't know if Sierra's going to come back. So I'm very curious where we go from here.
I fully agree. And I think it's interesting because on In the City, they just filmed their reunion, which I'm like, woof, this is a hard couple months for Lyndsay and Amanda.
Right.
Kyle. I'm like, that's got to be insane. So for me, I'll continue to watch In the City. I'll cover it and talk about the reunion. And, listen, girl, I think you're just going to have to come back.
I mean, I'm here.
At all. So, Lyndsay, thank you so much for being here today. Please let everybody know what you got going on and let them know where they can find you.
Yeah. So again, thank you for having me. We're definitely going to have you back on Recap Rodeo. But as we mentioned last time, I'm kind of like, okay, Bravo, like what shows are, like so many shows are ending right now. So I guess we'll have to see.
But you know what's starting? You know what I just realized? Next gen New York City.
Yes. Oh, that starts next week. Okay. So we'll definitely have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Perfect. But yeah, you can find wherever you listen to podcasts, Recap Rodeo. I host it with my bestie Brady, who you guys love on the pod. You can also, we just launched a Patreon, patreon.com/Recap Rodeo. If you guys want ad-free episodes, early releases, bonus episodes, also uncensored Brady, because sometimes I have to censor him because, otherwise I think our podcast would get kicked off platforms. I digress.
We love you, Brady.
We love you, Brady. Also, so find us on Instagram at Recap Rodeo. Also, I still have Vanderpod recaps over there. We cover all sorts of Bravo podcasts because these people can't shut up. Oh, real quick, just Spitfire. What podcast do you think Kyle told Amanda not to do? Did you catch that?
Oh my gosh, I did catch that. And that is such a good question. I have no idea, but considering that she was going to be flying out, it had to be a big one. Like a big...
People are guessing the Vile Files, which I could see, which gross. Oh yeah, that's my thing because people were saying, well, it was West's podcast. Well, that doesn't make sense because West does his podcast like over Zoom because he lives in New York, and I think his MAGA Barbie host. I'm not sure. She might live in Indiana or somewhere near. Yeah, I know. Or somewhere near here. And then there is another podcast that she does sometimes. I can't remember what it's called, but I think that one's also based in New York. So I think she was flying to. People are saying Vile Files. Some people are saying Call Her Daddy. I thought initially
Call Her Daddy, but then I was like, no, I don't think that makes sense.
No, I think Call Her Daddy would have Sierra before Amanda.
Yes. And I think the Vile Files would happily take Amanda because they're complete fame whores who are not respectable in any way, shape, or form. And now I've said it. It. Okay.
Oh, I've already went on many tangents about the Vile Files on this podcast, so like preach. But yeah, that is my guess. And look, Nick is vile as a clout goblin, so he will let us know if Amanda
is.
Yeah. He shout out to the podcast Do We Know Them? That's where I got that phrase from. But he will definitely let us know if Amanda was supposed to be on his podcast. Trust.
Oh, yeah, he will. You know what? Podcasting loves to platform terrible men and mediocre men. It's just, wow. Gotta love the patriarchy.
Yes.
Anywho, thanks for listening to the rant at the end of the show. So please check out Recap Rodeo, check out Vanderpod Recaps, and of course, check out at Your Bish Therapist on Instagram. I've been off recently. I will just end with this. My grandfather passed away 2 weeks ago. Lyndsay and Brady have been ride or dies. And again, I will thank you both for that so much. So I have been off of social media. I have just literally, if I'm being candid, I feel like I'm drowning and I'm just trying to keep my head above water. And so for me, I am taking the time that I need from social media and I'm podcasting with people who I love. And that's what I'm going to do until my head is fully above water. So thank you to everyone for your love, your support, my Patreon family. Please check out Patreon, www.patreon.com/YourBishTherapist and Recap Rodeo, because that is where it's at for us. And I will also be doing some bonus episodes for the paid tiers and some episodes where they ask questions and I'll answer those. Yeah, so definitely check that out. So for today, thank you, Lyndsay, for being here. We'll say sending love to you and yours, and ta-ta for now. Disclaimer. Posts are not intended to diagnose, treat, or provide medical advice. Your Bish Therapist is for entertainment and informational purposes only. The podcast, my opinions, and posts are my own and not associated with past or present employers, any organizations, Bravo TV, Greyheart Productions, or any other television network. The information in YBT podcast and on its social media is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat. Please do not act or refrain from acting based on anything you read, see, or hear on YBT podcast or associated social media. Communicating with YBT via email and or social media does not form a therapeutic alliance. Melissa, operator of YBT, is unable to provide any therapeutic advice, treatment, or feedback.